You're watching Cable 2.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to Today with Dr. Beverly Emory. I'm Chris Runch. Thanks so much for joining us for the spring, we are happy to say, edition of Today. Dr. Emory, thanks for being here.
It is spring.
It is
good to
finally.
be here.
Golly. But, you know, we can't really complain. We had a really warm February.
Yes, we did. And
March
we
was
only
kinda
had 3 snow days, knock on wood. I shouldn't say that and cause some spring blizzard.
That's not bad, though. That really
No,
isn't.
it's the least number we've had since in my time here, so I'm grateful for 3 days.
That prompts a question right off the bat. School board at the last meeting, and I'm hitting you with this without talking about it, but we forgave one of the days, did we not? So spring break is intact.
For students and staff, spring break is intact. The forgiveness will be for students. They will not have to make up that day because the state gives us a choice between a number of hours of instruction or days, and we generally have a healthy number of hours over the required number. Obviously with staff, we can't just forgive a day and people want to get paid, so we'll make that up at the end of the year. So we had taken that day, which was a leave day, and put it at the end of the year, and so we're just sort of swapping back.
Well, you know, I went home and I was looking at social media and I was like, my God, what have they done? It's all about the school board, but it was all teachers who were posting. They were really excited.
A lot of good response, and you know, we sort of go in cycles. People say, oh, at the time they vote for that to be a make-up day, it seems like a good thing, but then when the reality of it sinks in, there's really no good time. And we also look at instructional value. So you kind of flip a coin, you know, when will you have good attendance, and so the board has forgiven, and I'm sure that made lots of students happy as well, too.
Made lots of adults happy, too. I know that. It's a good segue because lawmakers in Raleigh have recently filed several bills looking for flexibility in the school calendar. One of our former board chairs, Donnie Lambeth, he's a state representative now, he's filed a bill that would allow schools to start the same time as community colleges, which sounds a little different on the surface, but the calendar is always a big debate. So how does this affect us? How do these bills affect us, and where are we now?
So first, let me give a shout out to Donnie Lambeth, our representative, who's always really great. Donnie always says, now, are we okay with that? And how will this affect Forsyth? And I just appreciate that so much. But you know, the calendar, there's been calendar legislation introduced every year since the huge shift years ago. I think it was 04 or 05 when the shift occurred, but you know, it will be interesting to see. It seems like there's a little more openness to some flexibility than there has been in the past, and we would welcome that because right now the parameters are so tight. Calendar kind of looks the same every year because there's just not a lot of wiggle room in it. But the difficulty, I think, across the state is that there are a lot of alternative high schools or early college programs that, you know, for us, we have 2 programs that are actually housed on the community college campus and run that schedule even though they're public schools. And so I think some of that is how do we create some flexibility within that calendar, and just flexibility in general. How can we create some work days? You and I were talking about people being worn out by spring break and ready for, well, some of that is that, you know, when we had those days that were spread throughout the year, those 10 working days that teachers have, they had lots of value to people for training, for catching up, just, you know, how you and I feel when we get a day that we can just organize and throw away and sort of plan out our life. And particularly for folks in a classroom, that time is really rare. So I would be grateful for any flexibility we could get. I think the challenge this year will be, if it comes through, it will probably be too late to have much of an impact on 17, 18. We're trying to be very careful about not having a really, really short summer. So if we went to June 16 or whatever that number is, and then you started August, early August, that would kind of be tough. And our 17-18 calendar has been out there and published for a while, so we're probably looking to 18-19 before we would see impact of any legislation.
So early release days would stay intact, and
We have built them into the calendar. Our 18-19 calendar choices are getting ready to go out for people to look at and give us some feedback. And in that, Alex Hoskins, our chief of staff, given the calendar legislation, the choices that will go out this year will be 2 choices that look like our traditional calendar, and people can look at the differences in them. And then she's also added 2 choices that have an earlier start date, just in case this legislation were to go through.
great. The Winston-Salem Journal this past weekend did a really good job of laying out the projects that we're starting to work on with the bond money from last November. It's a pretty exciting time. I mean, just looking at the list of schools and the renovations, where do we stand right now, and have they started turning dirt, or what?
We're very, very close on the 2 projects right out of the chute, which are Con Oak and Haynes Lawrence. The board at their last meeting approved architects. Now those had been pre-approved because designs were done in advance of the bond issue. But for the other projects in the first phase, and that's hugely time consuming, people put a lot of time and effort into finding good matches and working with local folks so that we keep business and have economic impact here at home.
Sure.
Based on the great support of our taxpayers. So when we're in this frenzy of extra stuff, vetting architects and engineers on some of the traffic pattern and safety projects that were also approved at the last board meeting, we sometimes get a little frantic over that. And then we, as you say, we have to step back and go, how grateful are we to be able to have this problem, which is staying on schedule and all the sort of extras that go with this work. So yes, Con Oak Elementary and the Lawrence Paisley project will be the first 2 that you should see some shovels turning here in the spring. Behind that, some stadium improvements that we bumped into the first phase because they're safety issues that we need to get taken care of.
Okay.
So.
There's been a lot of talk lately about 21st century community learning centers that do a lot in a lot of different areas. For us, they help with after-school tutoring in some higher poverty neighborhoods or schools. It's been greatly beneficial to us, has it not?
Yes, our district for several years has been awarded some of the 21st century after-school grants. Both as a district we have them, and then we have also supported or partnered with other agencies, nonprofits in the community. And if I start naming them, I'll leave somebody out, so I'm just not going to do that. But we have other nonprofits in the community who have also secured those grants, and most of them offer those programs through us on a school site, obviously for convenience for children and families, and particularly those that have an instructional focus. So we know one of the ways that kids who are behind catch up is extended learning time. And so to the degree that we can pack some good learning time into those after-school experiences, helping kids with their homework. And in a couple of places this year, we even started, as you know, I think we've talked about on the show, adding some dinner for kids. And in some cases, those were after-school programs designed to keep kids long enough to be able to get them a third meal. And in some of our really high poverty areas where we know that breakfast and lunch may be the only meals that kids are really getting, and they don't eat again until they come back the next day. So a variety of those, whether it's focusing on English language learners in certain parts of the county, whether it is strictly activity and enrichment. Many of them have different kinds of focus. We also just applied for a new round of those grants, both district, adding some additional schools to our 21st Century Schools grant, as well as providing support for a host of agencies in the community who also have applied for that funding. I wish I could, off the top of my head, give a number of kids who are probably benefiting from that after-school care.
It's pretty incredible, and just having witnessed it at Kimberly Park, it was not only good for the kids. I don't think it's a debate that teachers aren't paid enough. It was good for the teachers. It gave them a little bit of extra money, an hour, hour and a half each day. I mean, it really is very good all around.
Well, you're right, and we also know the benefit to our kids, as we've learned through after-school and summer programming, that having their own teachers is a plus. We know we get more instructional value out of those extra chunks of time if our own teachers are the ones who are employed in those programs and delivering the support to kids.
We opened it up talking about spring, so we'll close it doing the same thing. Spring is here. That means summer cannot be far behind. Last year, for the first time, employees of the school system held something called the Core Values Summit. The plan is to do it again. This summer, we're going to talk about our beliefs. What else are we going to do?
I think we have a dual purpose this summer. The first part is to recognize and lift up the values that we created last year and try to create focus on individuals or departments or schools, or where can we honor and sort of cheer on those people who have really embraced all or some or one of those values in a unique way. And then I think the other part of that is translating them. What do they look like? What belief systems do we have behind them that enable those core values? So if I am student-centered, what is my belief about that? Do I believe all kids can learn? Do I believe that the way I conduct myself as an adult has an impact on student learning or how students succeed in the district? And I think that we've really felt a lot of power in these core values this year. It's challenging and complex sometimes to increase reading scores by 10%. The values have given us a common denominator. We can all be good at them, right? Even if we may not get those achievement outcomes year in and year out that we want. And that's not to say we aren't still working on those and they're not important or high priority, but I think it's helped us as a district create a culture that is important to that achievement. And also, if you don't aspire to those core values, then maybe this is not the organization for you as well. But overall, I've been incredibly pleased with how schools have embraced these. And I believe the job that was done to get us to last year, so pretty much everybody in this entire school district, all 8,000 of us, had an opportunity to have input into what those core values were. And I think that also helps people have ownership of them and feel, yeah, this is me, this is who I am in this organization.
It was a good time, and in the interest of full disclosure, if you're interested in it and you want to see it, we have sort of a recap on our YouTube channel that you can look at, and also each core value is on there. We've completed our training for all of them now: integrity, high expectations, student-centered, and on and on.
Accountability, equity. Yes,
they're all there, so
yes,
you can find it on our YouTube channel. Well, next time we see you, we'll
be near the end.
That much closer.
Yes. Hard to believe.
Yes, it is. All right, thanks very much. We appreciate
you.
it. And we're back after this with another winner in a big contest locally. Right after this.
Strike one. I'm the greatest hitter in the world! Strike two. I'm Strike 3. Wow. I'm the greatest pitcher in the world. Yes!
Optimism. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
You can beat the world, you can beat the war. You could talk to God, go banging on his door. You can throw your hands up, you can beat the clock. You can move a mountain, you can break rocks. You can be a master, don't wait for luck. Dedicate yourself and you can find yourself. Stand in the Hall of Fame. And the world's gonna know your name. And you'll be on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be a champion on the walls of the Hall of Fame. Be students, be teachers, be politicians, be preachers. Yeah, yeah. Be believers, be leaders, be astronauts, be champions. Standing in the Hall of Fame.
Baby, tell me, where'd you ever learn to fight without saying no word? Then waltz back into my life like it's all gonna be alright. Don't you know how much it hurts when we don't talk, when we don't touch, when it doesn't feel like we're even in love? It matters to me when I don't know what to say, don't know what to do, don't know if it really even matters to you. How can I make you see it matters to me? When I don't know what to say, don't know what to do, don't know if it really even matters to you. How can I make you see it matters to me?
Just to let you know a little bit about where we are and where we're broadcasting from, we are now in the Education Building on Bethania Station Road in Winston-Salem. We made the move about 7 years ago, and this is a building that is separated from the actual administrative center, but it's also where a lot of events take place, like the Board of Education meeting takes place upstairs. Right now, a big event is taking place even as we record this, and that's the Battle of the Books for our middle schools. And this is a shot from the auditorium, and you can see two teams that are competing now. They go up against each other to answer questions about a set of books. There are titles that are given to them. They read the books, and then all these questions are thrown at them all day long. Yesterday lasted till about 3 o'clock, so it's a long day for them, but it's really pretty interesting. And then somebody will go on to the regionals, and that's going to be held here too. There's also an elementary Battle of the Books. It's all real interesting, and if you ever want to watch it, you can always stop by here at the Education Building to check it out. Another big thing that has been happening in the school system for 27 years now is Daggett Schuler's annual Safe and Sober Prom T-shirt design contest. This year, the winner was from Career Center. There's no big surprise there. The mayor, Alan Joines, as you can see, pretended like he was just taking a tour of the building when the announcement was actually made that the winner of this year's contest was in Miss Messer's class, and there she is, standing right there. That is Ms. Messer. She's the commercial art teacher at the Career Center, and there's your winner. He is Nestor Gutierrez Flores, and we talked with him about the big win.
I worked on it a little bit over summer. After my job, I would get out, sketch a little bit. I love to draw. And so yeah, every day I would try to come up with a new idea And yeah, I just took it to YouTube and just saw some tutorials, you know, and then try to get it all together. And then I came up with the design. You know, I was very excited to get into the computer. Problem was I didn't know how to use a computer as well, but you know, now I guess I'm good at it, I guess.
Congratulations to Nestor. Safe Sober Prom is in its 27th year, as we said, and it's sponsored by Daggett Schuler Law Firm. It promotes a drug and alcohol-free prom night to high school students across Northwest North Carolina. About 250 designs were entered, and Nestor's was the one that won. His design will be printed on 15,000 t-shirts and given to high school students all across Northwest North Carolina who sign a pledge to remain drug and alcohol-free on prom night. Nestor's name is also on the back of the t-shirt along with all of the sponsors in the program. And Stephanie Messer, the commercial art teacher we were talking about from the Career Center, this is the 8th time in a row that a student from her class has won. Unprecedented. So congratulations to Nestor, congratulations to Miss Messer and the Career Center, and also big thanks to David Daggett Griff Schuler from Daggett Schuler Law Firm. And that's going to do it for this March edition of Today. Thanks so much for being with us. Next time we talk, spring break will be over, and we'll have lots to talk about as we head into the end of the year and summer. I'm Chris Runge. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for joining us on your school channel, Cable 2.